Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and figure out exactly why your IB classrooms look and feel, well, so entirely different from traditional schooling. Seriously, if you've ever sat in class and silently screamed, "Why on earth is my teacher answering my question with another question?" You're definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to decode the specific underlying philosophy that actually powers your entire education.
Look, I completely get it. It can be super frustrating when you just want the facts, right? You're sitting there thinking, please just tell me what I need to know for the test. But here's the thing, framing you as the architect of your own knowledge, that's actually the secret sauce of the whole system. The International Baccalaureate isn't trying to make your life difficult just for the fun of it. It's actually trying to shift the heavy lifting of learning off the teacher's shoulders and directly onto yours. So let's look at the hidden theory working behind the scenes here.
Here's our quick agenda for today's explainer. First, the blueprint of your learning. Then we'll map out the constructivism spectrum, followed by the IB hybrid approach, a look at IB versus pure constructivism, and finally, how you can own your learning journey.
All right, starting off with section 1, the blueprint of your learning and becoming the architect.
So let's start with the really big picture here, constructivism. The absolute crucial point to grasp is that you aren't just a sponge, passively soaking up lectures. You are an active meaning maker. In a more traditional classroom, knowledge is kind of treated like a physical object that a teacher can just hand over to you. Constructivism says, no way, that's impossible. It argues that true understanding only happens when you take new information and actively connect it to what you already know. Basically, you have to build that bridge yourself. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates why your teachers act the way they do. Because meaning is actively constructed, your teachers act as facilitators. They're the guide on the side, rather than the sage on the stage. Because social interaction is so central, well, that's why you do endless amounts of group work. Because authentic tasks improve learning, you're constantly doing real-world problem solving. And because metacognition is absolutely vital, you are constantly asked to step back and reflect on how you learn. It's all perfectly connected. Moving right along to section 2, the constructivism spectrum, a map of theories. Now, it's really important to realize that constructivism isn't just one single rulebook. It's actually a massive family of theories. Looking at this map, we've got Jean Piaget, focusing on cognitive constructivism. He wants you to actively build internal structures by adapting to new, challenging information. Then there's Lev Vygotsky, who wants you to talk it out. Under social constructivism, he argues that learning happens through dialogue and collaboration. Then, moving further out, we have radical constructivism, where Ernst von Glasersfeld views you as constructing a totally personal reality based purely on your own experiences. And finally, John Dewey champions experiential constructivism, meaning you learn by doing, acting first, and then reflecting deeply afterward. Okay, section 3, the IB hybrid approach, where X marks the spot. So, let's move to where the International Baccalaureate actually sits on this vast theoretical landscape. If we had to drop a pin on the map, the IB's center of gravity is firmly anchored in social, inquiry-based, and experiential learning. They basically operate on the assumption that you learn best when you're actively investigating, when you're talking and collaborating with your peers, and when understanding concepts is prioritized over just simple memorization. It's a very deliberate blend, and it's completely designed to develop your personal agency over time. And notice how directly your daily activities trace right back to these specific historical theorists. It's kind of wild. When you execute an inquiry cycle in the middle years program, you are literally applying Jerome Bruner. Group presentations, you're living out Vygotsky's social constructivism. All those hours you spend on creativity activity service and the endless reflections you write for them, that is pure John Dewey in action. Your daily timetable is quite literally a greatest hits album of educational philosophy. Now for section 4, IB versus pure constructivism, the reality check. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute. If I'm supposed to build my own knowledge freely, why do I have these incredibly strict rubrics and massive final exams? And yeah, this is the exact cognitive dissonance so many IB students feel. See, in a radical, purely constructivist environment, you might just have open discovery without objective standards, which critics argue kind of lacks rigor. But the IB doesn't do that. It's a hybrid. Your diploma program exams are highly structured, your approaches to learning skills are explicitly taught, and your teachers, they will absolutely still use strategic direct instruction when you just need the cold, hard facts. Actually, this phrase right here is your ultimate takeaway. The IB is constructivist informed rather than purely constructivist, meaning you get the awesome benefits of inquiry and student agency, but it's bound by a rigorous standards-based framework.
This is to ensure you're actually prepared for higher education anywhere in the world. So it borrows the best parts of the theory, but keeps the guardrails firmly in place. Finally, Section 5, owning your learning journey, the tension and the takeaway.
Let's bring this all back to your desk, because understanding this whole blueprint is only really useful if you actually use it. Look, if your school recently adopted the IB, or maybe you've just transferred in, you and your parents might experience some friction. Parents often equate true learning with traditional direct instruction and, rote memorization. And suddenly, here you are being graded on your ability to reflect and co-construct knowledge in a group. It's totally different. Acknowledge that tension. Recognizing exactly why it exists is the very first step to successfully navigating it.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Knowing exactly how the system is built, how will you step up and actively construct your own success today? You really aren't meant to just sit back and wait for learning to happen to you. The tools are literally right there in your hands. The blueprint is laid out in front of you, so what are you going to build with them tomorrow?